Hurricanes, severe weather, and solar storms are the three main items on the menu today. We're going to take a look at those, plus a look at your work week forecast and test your weather IQ, because this is Cold Rain's Weather World, where we've got all the weather, and it starts right now. Happy Monday, folks. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. This is Jason Pritchard here, and you are here for Cold Rain's Weather World, one of the most fun-filled, action-packed weather shows on the internet. I want to thank you for joining me today, and sincerely thank you for the great response over the last few days. We had a lot of new subscribers sign up, and certainly we've had a lot of good questions. Some of you saw Aurora, and some of you did not. You posted some of those observations in the comments, and I want to thank you for that. And there were a lot of good questions that came out of that, and we're going to talk about space weather coming up here in just a minute. I'm going to answer some of those questions as to why the aurora is visible sometimes and why it's not during these solar storms. So we're going to take a look at the space weather stuff here coming up in a little bit. We're going to start with hurricanes. We're going to jump into severe weather. I've got a weather IQ question on deck for you. We're going to take a look at your work week forecast too, and it's going to feature some below normal temperatures for some of us. So we're going to answer the question, where is summer and when is it coming? All of those segments will be outlined in the description, so you can flip right ahead to where you need to. But we're going to start here with the tropical update and get right into it. The GFS, the American model, continues to show tropical development in the Gulf just beyond the day 10 time frame. And for about 10 or 11 days, it's been showing this. So I don't know. We're going to see if other models corroborate this or not, but we've been watching it, and we're going to continue to watch it just because it's something that's continuing to show up. So if we go on out here, day 11, day 12, day 13, look at this. GFS is bringing a 992 millibar low into eastern Texas here. So you see that? Yesterday, it was bringing a big category 4 or 5 storm here into Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama, and running it through the Tennessee Valley, and then a couple days before that, it was coming off the southeast coast through Florida. So GFS has been kind of all over the place. I've had a number of 312-hour GFS snowstorms that have never panned out, but you know, we look at it anyway, and so that's what it's showing. What about the GFS ensembles? Does its own ensemble suite agree with it? And we're going to answer that question right now, and the answer is what? So we're going to take a look here. This is the probability of a weak low pressure system, 1,005 millibars or less here in the Gulf, okay? So this is what this map is showing. This is an ensemble mean of all the ensemble members. So if we run this out to 300 or 240 hours, that's 10 days out, we start to see some probabilities, but they're very, very low, 10 to maybe 20% probability here. So its own ensemble member suite doesn't really agree all that much. It starts to get up here into the 30 to maybe 40% range. The European is Zippo, the Canadian is Zippo. So I still think the GFS is lacking some credibility with its solution of a big tropical system somewhere in the Gulf. We're going to keep watching it, and I'll keep you informed of it. In the meantime, the National Hurricane Center shows no development whatsoever in the Atlantic over the next the next week or so. And if we take a look in the Pacific, the only thing out here is still a disturbed area of disturbed weather that could form into a tropical storm, 40% chance or so. So they're continuing to watch that. That's just off in here in the Western Pacific, off the southeast or west coast of Mexico, rather. And so that's our tropical update. Now we're going to go ahead and transition over here and see how smart you are weather-wise, and ask you a weather IQ question. We do this every day on Cold Rain's Weather World, which is this show, and it's about earthquakes and keeping with our earthquake theme. So here it is. Which major fault line runs through the Midwest? Fault lines are where earthquakes occur, and so we have some choices here. San Andreas Fault, Cascadia Fault, New Madrid Fault, and the Hayward Fault, okay? Which one runs through the Midwest? I'll answer that question at the end of the show. If you know the answer, type it in the comment section, or just stick around to the end, and then you can know the answer and then send all your friends over here and tell them what you learned on Cold Rain's Weather World. Now, unfortunately, we've got some severe weather to talk about, but that's often the case in late spring, early summer, and through the summer months, actually. And so, one of the things that drives thunderstorm development is upper level energy and also instability. And we look at CAPE for instability, convective available potential energy. And so, we're seeing our CAPE map, our instability map, this afternoon as we put this into motion through the morning hours into the early afternoon hours. Look at all of this instability. This is a result of heating and cooling at the surface, cooling aloft, and moisture coming in from the Gulf of cold rain way down here. And so you can see instability really picking up through Texas, Oklahoma, western Kansas into central Nebraska, and even into parts of Minnesota through the afternoon hours today. That will continue until the thunderstorms eat it up and until we start to cool the atmosphere as the sun sets. And so there will be some instability that continues to remain through the night. It's not going to all go away. So we could see some of these clusters of storms persist into the nighttime hours. And then over the next day or so, as we get on into Tuesday morning, got a little bit less instability, but that'll grow again Tuesday afternoon. And we'll start to see, as you can probably guess by looking at this map, that severe threat shift east as we get on into Tuesday afternoon and Tuesday evening. We're not seeing extreme instability numbers show up here, so we're probably not going to see, unless we have a massive trough or upper low impinging on all of this instability, we're probably not going to see a massive severe weather outbreak. Let's take a look and see what's going on upstairs and see what kind of situation we have. This is about 18,000 feet up in the atmosphere, and this is the wind, and these little pockets of wind and cooling aloft and spin will help to kick off showers and thunderstorms. They provide general lift and help create instability. So we've got one such area moving into the plains right here. We've got another upper low down here in the southeast that's come out of, it's come across the Baja, and it's worked into the, starting to work into the Four Corners region. Out ahead of these areas is where we find lift, like in this situation here. We've got a big ridge here in the middle of the country like this. That's how you draw a ridge. And then we've got a trough associated with this big upper low in southwest or east Canada. And so this is bringing cooler conditions and a little bit of cloud cover up here in New England. So that's what's going on at the upper levels. All of that matters to what happens at the surface. So let's pull this forward, and you can see these features sort of move in, and they're going to kind of merge together over the next couple of days. But as we go through the evening hours tonight, those features continue to move to the east, and eventually they kind of merge together over the course of Tuesday morning, Tuesday afternoon. Probably see an area of low pressure spin up around Wisconsin, somewhere in this area, drag a cold front through, and now that's where our severe weather threat's going to lie tomorrow. We've got another active subtropical jet stream low coming in here to the southwest, and more energy coming in off the Pacific. So fairly active pattern over the next couple of days. And to that end, the Storm Prediction Center has outlined a large area of real estate up here from Sioux Falls down through Cheyenne into middle of Nebraska, into eastern Kansas and the panhandle of Texas down here, Amarillo area, for a slight risk, big moderate or marginal risk surrounding that. Even got a little marginal risk in Florida as we got some upper level winds moving into that area, could kick off a few isolated thunderstorms. But the threat today, generally not too much of a tornado threat. Could see a few spin ups over Nebraska. Wind is the primary threat in those areas, and hail again as well. So watch out if you're here in the plains, up and down. Just pay attention as we go through the afternoon if any thunderstorm watches get issued and any alerts come up. So you have to keep an eye to the sky out there. Tomorrow the threat shifts on to the east, so just south here of Madison, Wisconsin, all the way down through Kansas City, Springfield, into Oklahoma City, and down into Texas around Abilene and so forth. So that's where our slight risk is outlined. Level 2 risk, marginal risk surrounds that. Tornado threat maybe a little bit more prominent tomorrow. Still not a big threat, but as the winds come in, we're going to see a little turning with height, a little spin in the atmosphere. Certainly wind shear aloft and instability at the surface is going to provide at least a wind and hail threat. Hail threats predominantly down here in Texas, as that upper low kind of impinges on the area, and we start to phase that in with the upper trough that's working through the upper plains. And so that's our severe weather threat the next couple of days. Beyond that, just little pockets of severe weather regionally will be possible as these pieces of wind energy move through the flow. And that's what's going on there with all of that, folks. So That's our severe weather threat for this afternoon. Continue to pay attention, keep an eye to the sky there. Now, flipping gears and taking a look at the satellite imagery, look at all of this wispy cloud cover here that you see. This isn't really cloud cover. This is all smoke from the Canadian wildfires. Smoke, when you have an aurora that's kind of hard to see in the first place, smoke makes it really hard to see, folks. So some of you in the Midwest here may not have seen aurora last night because of some of the smoke in the atmosphere. And that is still continuing. This big low up here has got counterclockwise flow around it. Smoke is just coming in like this. And that's what we're seeing. Still seeing some cloud cover up here in northern New England. Clouds associated with that trough in the northern Rockies and Plains. And then clouds associated with that spin down here working into the Four Corners region. So a cloudy afternoon there. Mostly sunny over the rest of the country. So it could be a nice day for much of us here. And of course, showers and storms potentially up here in the Great Lakes. This is not the Great Lakes, folks. This is the upper plains. I'm looking at the Great Lakes as I'm saying this, but we've got plenty of rain out there this morning in the upper plains and upper Rocky Mountains. And again, severe weather threat over the plains today. Rain associated with that upper low in the desert southwest. It's good because you guys need rain out there, and a few showers working around here in New England. Of course, down here in south central Florida, we're seeing some showers as well. So all of that's going on. Now, if we take a look at our alerts map, if I can get us on the right display here, air quality continues to be a problem under that smoke all the way through Minnesota. We've got air quality alerts up and down. Stay inside if you're sensitive to that. Hopefully that will, as the weather pattern changes, maybe we'll start to see some of that smoke blow away and out to the east instead of so far down into the states. Hydrologic outlook out here in Wyoming is temperatures warm, snow is going to melt, maybe produce some flooding, but outside of that, not much else going on around the country. This is our surface map. So we've got a cold front that's going to be setting up through the plains, providing severe weather, a focus for severe weather and potentially heavy rain. Some of these thunderstorms are going to be efficient rain producers. We're going to see a few showers up here in northern New England and down in Florida as well. Could see a little bit of heavy rain, a couple of isolated thunderstorm reports not out of the question. A little snow maybe working into the higher elevations out here. Tomorrow, low pressure starts to get its act together up here in the Midwest. We see a cold front trailing back through the Four Corners region into the Intermountain West. Out ahead of that's where we find the severe weather focus and a little bit of heavy rain focus as well. General shower and thunderstorm activity along and behind that front. It's not going to be a washout in all of these areas, but you still can see some showers and thunderstorms. And of course, over the Gulf where the kind of a boundary exists down here as well, and over Florida too. So that's what we're seeing, folks, in terms of our sensible weather. Temperatures cool in the northeast all the way down to the upper southeast. Very pleasant where I am in Morganton, North Carolina. It's temperatures this afternoon, high 70s, low 80s. Very, very nice. Warm, even hot in some areas in the Central Plains and the Midwest, all the way down into Texas where we get close to 100. And then cool behind this trough working in the northern Rockies and northern Plains, and chillier up here as this upper low works into the Four Corners region as well. Now, if we go down into Tuesday, take a look at how this shakes out. Bigger trough working into the west, pinching the warm air to the south. Warm air gets compressed here through the Great Lakes back into the southern plains as well, into the Tennessee Valley, down into Florida. And North Carolina and maybe Southern Virginia. That's where we're seeing the extent of the really warm air. Still cool in New England. And then as we go on out into time, the cold front slips east. Warm air out ahead of that keeps everybody from the Great Lakes back into southern Texas up into the 70s and 80s. And very pleasant day, though. Not too bad. It's going to feel okay. Maybe a little bit of humidity out here, but back behind that front, really, really cool. Look at this, 70s, 60s, and 50s even out here in the Rocky Mountains, and cool along the west coast with the exception of the San Joaquin Valley. We get on out into Thursday, more of the same. The warmer air gets pinched a little farther to the south and to the east. Cool for the nation's midsection for much of the country. 60s and 70s dominate. So this is well below normal, folks. And then we get on out into Friday, and we've got a return flow setting up out here in the west, but 60s, 70s. For much of the northern half of the country, only on the east coast and down toward the south is where we find the warm temperatures. So potentially above normal in the desert Southwest, and then a little bit below normal over much of the country. So if we take a look here at how the weather shakes out starting Wednesday, we've already looked at Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday, cold front coming in. It shows up very nicely here. A few showers out in the desert Southwest Florida. You're getting some rain. As we go on through the day, Wednesday, cold front slips east. Little disturbance working in over the southeast could produce some showers in Georgia and Florida. Come Thursday morning, another disturbance working in from the Four Corners region is going to produce some rain showers out there. And then we'll just see as we go on through the rest of the week for Thursday and Friday, scattered showers and storms with some little perturbations in the flow as they move through the heartland, the nation's midsection, places like that. Showers working off the southeast coast and off the northeast as well. So we get on into Friday afternoon, that other disturbance working through the mid-Mississippi Valley into the Ohio Valley, bringing some unsettled weather there and still a little bit of shower activity lingering off the Carolina coast, folks. And that is our sensible weather as we go on through the week. We're just going to see these little disturbances in the flow, and they are going to matter to where the thunderstorms and showers develop, and some of those storms could be severe just depending on the kind of the synoptic setup as we go through the week. I'll keep you posted on that. But looking at the temperatures, we're looking at below normal today in the nation's midsection to the east, and then above normal working into the west as we get into Tuesday and Wednesday. Still much below in the central. This is 10, maybe 15 degrees below normal in the center part of the country, and that sort of just persists with troughing. And then cool air behind that front as we get on into Thursday and Friday. And eventually another trough comes in as we get into the weekend. That's getting a little ahead of ourselves, over our skis a bit, but that's what's going to happen as we get on into the end of the week. There's your weather forecast. Temperature-wise, cool in the nation's midsection, cool air working back into the east, warm air working back into the west. And you can see all of that here in our upper level map as we go from here. Let's get back into this week. So Wednesday, ridging, we start here Wednesday, ridging along the east coast, troughing behind. That's where the warm and cool air is going to be. We move on out. We start to get into this broad trough pattern we've been looking at. Going to keep the cool air in place where we see these white colors and blue colors. Warm's going to be under the red colors and orange colors. And so look at this as we get on into toward next weekend. Big time cool in the eastern part of the country. This pattern is progressive, so eventually we get another trough early next week. Bring some unsettled weather to the East Coast, keep us cooler out there. But over time, we start to see ridging build in. So as we get on out into the 2-week period, that's when we're going to see heat return, at least the way it looks today. 6 to 10 day outlook from the Weather Prediction Center. This is June the 7th through the 11th. Wetter than normal over much of the eastern half of the country, and then much better signal for that in the southeast. And then below normal over the northwest. Alaska and Hawaii both above in the precipitation department. The temperature department, we've still got a lingering trough here in the middle of the country we're dealing with. That'll eventually work out in the 8 to 14 day outlook, but keeping the coast potentially above normal, particularly much above out west, below in Alaska, above in Hawaii. And folks, that is the weather portion of the show. Taking a look at the space weather portion, check this out. Now, we've had G4 storm conditions. Right now, we're in G1 storm conditions. So this is basically a measure of how intense the solar storm is. We're predicting, NASA's predicting a strong G3 continuation of the same storm. So these things sort of ebb and flow, and you can really see that down here. Let's take a look at this. This is the K index, and you can see that down here. See how it fluctuates? We had the big surge, big hit to the magnetic field, and then it dropped off, and then it popped back up, it dropped down again, it's building back up. So these things kind of come in waves, and those matter to the aurora. So what happens is that the storm, the sun emits solar flares, plasma, solar wind, coronal mass ejections. Those things happen. They occur from time to time. The sun spits that out towards Earth. And then when that wind hits the Earth, those plasma particles hit the Earth, it interacts with the Earth's magnetic system. It's the magnetic field of the Earth. It excites it. And you can have effects from big electronic failure to aurora, all of the above. So the aurora then will show up at nighttime where you can see it. You need clear skies, you don't need smoke in the air, and you don't need cloud cover. So all of that works to help you be able to see the aurora. The stronger the storm is, the denser it is, the more prominent the aurora is going to be, the farther south you'll be able to see it. And the other thing that you need to pay attention to too is that if you have a weak aurora, sometimes you can't see it with the naked eye. You take a picture though, and it shows up in the picture. So you can always try that if you can't see something where there's supposed to be an aurora. But again, the timing of this matters. You know, during the daytime, if you get your worst part of the storm, well, the aurora's going off, you can't see it because it's day, and then things wane at night, and then you go outside and look, and you can't really see things. So that's what's going on with all of that. The sun right now is kind of quiet. This coronal hole's turning toward us. These bright spots are sunspots. Got another sunspot activity or area kind of turning in toward us. This coronal hole shooting a solar wind stream at us, but it's going to be too low in proximity to the Earth, so it'll probably miss us below, and so we probably won't see anything. We'll have to wait and see if any other filaments go off or anything like that before we get another solar storm. But the magnetic field of the Earth is weakening, and the poles are shifting, and so aurora is probably going to be a more common thing as we go through time. And you can see predicted tonight, good likelihood of aurora tonight, and the view line is pretty far south from southern Washington State to southern Minnesota into northern Maine. So if you're in any of those areas, maybe if it's clear outside and there's not a lot of smoke in the air, take a look, see what you can see, and let me know in the comments section. Hope that answers some of those questions that people ask about that. No volcano activity other than the things we've been watching around the Pacific Rim, Spur, Great Sitkin, Kilauea, and Ahi. Nothing new there. No real new earthquake activity. Nothing big in the last several days, but we're keeping an eye on it. Several little quakes here in the United States, but I don't think anybody's feeling any of those. They're pretty small. And that brings us to the answer to today's Weather IQ question, folks. And the question is, what major fault line runs through the Midwest? San Andreas, Cascadia, New Madrid, and Hayward Fault. And the answer is the New Madrid Fault, and it can be active. And in fact, in 1811, 1812, there was a series of large earthquakes that created a tremendous amount of devastation in those areas. And so 7.2 to 8.2 was the moment magnitude of those quakes. There were several aftershocks after that. So that area of the country can go off from time to time. It doesn't seem imminent now, but it certainly can. And we'll talk about where those other fault lines lie another time. And I also owe you an answer on Alaskan earthquakes. Alaska is the state, according to our last Weather IQ question, that experiences the most earthquakes per year. How many? Well, I didn't know at the time, but I do now. 20 to 30,000 quakes per year, meaning 50 to 100 per day. That's a lot of earthquakes, folks. Fortunately, most of you in Alaska don't feel those. They're very, very small. But big quakes can happen in Alaska. I think we've had a 9 up there in the past. But that's a lot of earthquakes that happen up there on an annual basis. So that, my friends, is the show for today. I hope it's been informative to you. I hope it's been fun. Thank you so much. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. And, you know, that's what we do here. We cover all the regular weather, and we look at all these other things too. We have a little trivia fun. We have some other segments from time to time. And one of the things that I do every day is pray for everyone that watches this in a general sense, and everybody that subscribes. And if there's something specific I can pray for, please put it in the comment section, and I will be sure to do that. Pray for me as well. That's the kind of community that we have here, and I really appreciate each one of you. That's it, folks. Take care. Have a blessed day. I'll be back with another episode tomorrow. See ya.